This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategist. How's it going today? Today, we're going to talk about a DST, defense and special teams for 2023. Let's get to it. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because you know it helps the channel grow. You know it keeps us going and motivated. Let's go. First up, the 49ers. Now, their defense has been awesome. It is a top 5 fantasy defense. And yes, they are awesome with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. However, they're missing one key piece of their defense, and that's their defensive coordinator, DeMeco Ryans. He's now the head coach at the Houston Texans. But the 49ers, they still should be elite. However, they may not be quite what they used to be without DeMeco, because DeMeco brought a system and has a system that is a plug and play, that it amplifies a lot of players' talent. Now, do they still have the talent? Yes. However, they don't have that coordinator. And what their new coordinator brings that can pull out of them, that is yet to be seen. Because in 2022, they had 44 sacks, 20 interceptions, and finished 4th with defensive stats when it comes to fantasy football. But again, this is the 49ers. So they should still be elite, and they're still one of the top teams in the NFC. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, their defense, of course, took them to the Super Bowl along with their offense, their quarterback, and receivers as well. But the Eagles in 2022 finished second with 70 sacks and 17 interceptions. This year, they're going to slide just a little bit down to fourth place in fantasy football defenses. Again, they still have an elite defense, still solid, but they're going to take just a slide down when it comes to overall fantasy defense. But there's still definitely a defensive team to pick up. Let's continue. Here's a word from our sponsors. Question: is your NFL team winning the Super Bowl this season? If so, then you better get your new gear for the new season. NFL Shop is providing with your new favorite team's apparel this season. Use the link below or scan the QR code to see a huge inventory of NFL teams' apparel. Discount codes will be available throughout the season, so use the link. Shop now. Next up, this is the surprise of the group, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, they're going to return to glory because, again, they've fixed some things on their offense. So fixing some things on their offense really is going to help out their defense tremendously. In 2022, they had 48 sacks, 14 interceptions, and they finished 7th in the fantasy football defensive rankings. So with the new offense and Lamar Jackson seemingly back to an elite status without any injuries, so the Baltimore defense is something to be reckoned with. Definitely a defensive team that you should be drafting in this upcoming draft. Next, we have the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets, they finished 10th last year in defensive stats when it comes to fantasy football. But what's going to help them out this year and what jumps them up to number 2 in our rankings is their offense, their offensive addition with Aaron Rodgers. Now, in 2022, they had 45 sacks and 12 interceptions. Look for that number to go up because what helps an elite defense is an elite offense as well. So this team is going to be vying for the divisional championship. I don't see them finishing any less than second in that division. Now, who's first? That's going to be another question. But the New York Jets, they're going to be in the fold. Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner, Aaron Rodgers, and a host of others on that team. They're bound to make some noise in this year's NFL. And fantasy is going to benefit extremely well, particularly the defense. So if you have the chance to pick up the New York Jets, pick them up. And at number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, those Dallas Cowboys. They finished 3rd last year in the fantasy football stats category when it comes to defense. And in 2022, they also had 54 sacks and 16 interceptions. The biggest addition to their defense is Stephon Gilmore. Now, put him on one side and Trayvon Diggs on the other. Now that defense is really, really solid because that was one of the weaker areas for the Cowboys last year, that cornerback position on the opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Now, it got better and stronger toward the end of the season, but the earlier part of the season and midway through the season, it was getting burned pretty bad. So, but the Dallas Cowboys are going to be the number 1 fantasy football defense for 2023. If you absolutely have the opportunity to pick them up, pick them up. Again, you may have to shake up your draft system or what have you just to get them because all eyes will be on the Cowboys defense. That is for certain. So get ready for the season. Get your defense in line. You got the Cowboys, the Jets, the Ravens, the Eagles, and the 49ers our top 5 fantasy football defense predictions for 2023. Till next time, this is Dub FFG. We'll see you soon. When you look in the mirror, do you see a GOAT? Are you the best that fantasy football has to offer? If so, then wear it on your chest. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies has new arrivals for the new fantasy season. See the link in the description or scan the QR code. Pick up your gear now. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies.